Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to learn about enterprise growth strategies. Business don't just remain the same, they either grow, diversify, merge with others. Before moving ahead, if you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe it now. So, when we talk about enterprise growth, it means expanding business operations. And this can be done through franchising, mergers, or acquisition. And these all are the things which can change the business world. So, let's start with first of all, growth and development for an enterprise is not optional. It is compulsory. If a business does not grow or moves towards growth, then its competitors will eat it away. So to avoid that, to avoid that kind of problem, it is compulsory for all the businesses to grow. After reaching one of the level, it becomes compulsory for all the businesses to move ahead or to grow. Okay, and then in the process of growth and development, an entrepreneur plays two roles. One is the role of a leader, and other is the role of a manager. As a leader, an entrepreneur leads the growth, and as a manager, he manages all the resources which are required for leading that change, for leading all the resources which are required to make that change happen. So in this process, an entrepreneur performs two roles. Then, when we talk about the enterprise growth, it means expanding business operations. This can be done in two ways. It can be done through internal expansion or external expansion. Internal expansion, when the company grows by itself, step by step, and external expansion where it grows by combining with or acquiring other businesses. Think of a small bakery. If it buys new ovens and hire more staff, then that's internal growth. But if it acquires another bakery shop nearby, that's example of external growth. Now let's move in detail in for the internal expansion. Internal expansion happens when a company increases its capacity or diversifies its product. For example, a textile company may add new machines or even start producing ready made garments instead of just fabric. So that's what we say that internal expansion is increasing your capacity or adding some new product line or increasing your sales or adding more machines to your business for for expansion purposes. Now the question comes from for where do they get the funding? For internal expansion, the funding comes from either by issuing new shares or by using profits or by raising long-term loans. So, what is the result of internal expansion? The result is company's operations expand and its capital structure broadens. Simple example, Reliance Retail expanded from clothing and groceries to electronics and Geomart, and this all is example of internal growth. Now let's talk about external. But sometimes growing internally is slow. Companies then look for external expansion. This happens through business combinations like mergers, acquisitions, or joint ventures of franchises. So, external expansion is like when two friends open shops together instead of individually. They share resources, cost, and customer. So internal expansion means
So let's start
franchising
with
includes
franchising.
franchising, mergers,
The
and
concept
of franchising was brought in by Singer Swing Machine in 1850, and then Ray Kroc McDonald's in 1955 brought this concept of franchising. Let's understand the meaning of franchising first. So, what is franchising? Franchising is an arrangement whereby the manufacturer or sole distributor of a trademark product or service gives exclusive right, because earlier I was the only one who had this right. Now I'm giving that right to you also. Gives that exclusive right of local distribution to independent retailers. That in return, what I'll take in return? I'll take the royalty and confirmance that you will follow the same operating procedure. Class 12, you have to learn this as it is only. You cannot change it. So what is royalty? The money which the franchisee pays to the franchisor is called royalty. There are two parties involved in this. One is the franchisor and other is the franchisee. The person who gives the franchisee gives the exclusive right. It's called as franchisor, and the person who takes the franchisee or buys the franchisee is called as franchisee. Now, franchisees with single E is a organization, is a arrangement. Franchisee with double E is the person who is buying this franchisee. Next, we have is the franchisee agreement. Franchisee agreement is a legal document that binds the franchisor and franchisee together. Now, what does this document include? This document includes that what the franchisor expect from the franchisee in return. And this contract includes four components, and those components are, that is, for that we have created a term called COPO to learn all these components in the sequence. Those components are C for contract explanation, O for operational manual, and P for proprietary statement, and O for ongoing site maintenance. So these are the four components. You know, before signing this agreement, it's a legal document. Before signing this legal document, the franchisee always get it checked through his legal lawyer or through his attorney. Now let's discuss all these four components in detail. The very first component of franchisee agreement is contract explanation. This is that part of agreement which outlines the type of relation between the franchisor and franchisee. Whether it's going to be manufacturing franchisee, business format franchisee, what kind of franchisee relation they are going to enter into. Then second is operational manual. Under operational manual, the franchisor explain all the details, all the operations of the business, so that the franchisee should also operate all the operations in the same way. Next component is proprietary statement. Proprietary statement outlines how the franchisee name should be used. Where exactly for marketing, where exactly for advertisement, the franchisee name should be used, and what are the rules franchisee need to follow while using the name of the franchisee. Then ongoing site maintenance. Here it outlines all the types and time frames regarding various maintenance items and upgrade that must be made to the franchisor's location. Next, we have all the types of franchising. There are four types of franchising. The one is your manufacturing franchisee, product franchisee, business format franchisee. Now, let's understand these four types of franchising in detail, because in exams they can ask you, they can give you the example and case study and then ask you identify the type of franchisee. Listen this class very carefully because I'll discuss the keywords with you for each type of franchisee. So the very first type of franchisee is product franchisee. In case of product franchisee, as its name is suggesting you, the franchisor gives the franchisee right to just sell the product by using his name, by franchisor's name. That is your product franchisee, in which the franchisor gives the franchisee exclusive right to sell franchisor's product by using franchisor's name. This is more suitable for tire business or pharmaceutical business or for other manufacturing items. Then we have manufacturing franchisee, as its name is suggesting you. Here the franchisor gives the franchisee right to make and sell the product by using the franchisor's name. That's franchisee, manufacturing franchisee. Here, the entrepreneur, franchisor provides the right to this person. This is very much suitable in case of all the eatables, Coca-Cola franchisee or McDonald's, KFC. These all are the examples of manufacturing franchisee. Business franchisee opportunity. In this, the franchisor not only gives the right to do the business, but also he provides the customer base. Let's say I use a particular brand of shampoo, and I called up the head office. So, okay, supply me the shampoo at my place. Then they tell me that, ma'am, the same shampoo is available in your area. You can get it through our franchisee. So they not only provided the franchisee a right to do the business, but also the customer. Next is business format franchisee. In this, I will tell you my proven formula. I will just share my proven formula, the way I have been successful till date, and then you can use that proven formula and you do the same business. This is very much common in case of your hotel or play with schools, or so wherever the services are provided in those type of businesses, business format franchisee is very much common. Then why franchise? How franchising helps startups? Basically, it acts as a one way is I start my own business. Second way is, instead of starting my own business, let's take the franchisee. Taking the franchisee means that person is already doing a business and its name is established in the market. Isn't it better that I take that person's business? You know? So that's it. So it saves the time of the startups, and startups they will get trained also by the franchisor before actually giving them the right to do the business. Then startups can grow faster because all the training is given by the franchisee only. And it in practical, this franchisee work for the benefit of franchisor also, because the all the effort will be put in by the franchisee. But the actual benefit will be of the franchisor. His business will get more and more developed. So both are all out open to help each other. So basically, this is 1 plus 1 11 kind of growth model. Then, next are the advantages of franchising. Advantages of franchising are classified into two parts. One are the advantages of franchising to franchisor, the person who is giving the franchisee, and advantages of franchising to franchisee, the person who is who has taken this franchisee. So, in case of franchise advantages of franchisee, the very first type of advantage which the person who takes the franchisee gets is product acceptance. The franchisee, the product which I'm going to sell in the market, whose franchisee I'm taking, that franchisee is already acceptable in the market. For example, I want to open a sandwich shop. One way is I open a sandwich shop from the scratch. Other way is, why not to get a franchisee of Subway? If I get because Subway is already an accepted name, it has a credibility in the market, so my effort of establishing my business will be reduced. So this is the benefit of taking the franchisee. The next benefit is the management expertise. See, when we take the franchisee, the person who is giving the franchisee will also share his managerial expertise with me, or he will also provide us the training. For McDonald's, in case of McDonald's, there is a McDonald's school. When you take the McDonald's franchisee, you have to get trained in that school. So they not only give you the business, they not only give you the right to do the business, but they also provide you the training. Other than that, they also take the classes, and they also give you the training, and they also provide you toll free numbers that whenever you face any kind of problem, you can come and talk to us. Then another is a toll free number, and then also the local updates are always provided to these franchisees. So, how managerial expertise? Another benefit of franchisor, franchising to franchisees, that they get the managerial expertise in the form of training, in the form of toll free numbers. Next is the capital component. This is basically, sometimes I want to take your franchisee, but I don't have enough of the resources. So that time also franchisor helps, because when you start a new venture, it can be costly in terms of both time and money. So the franchisee offers an opportunity to start a new venture with upfront support that could save the entrepreneur significant time and possibly the capital. Even some franchisers, when they conduct the location analysis, they find the location is good, they'll give you the financial help also to give you the franchisee in their area. So before that saves the startups, that saves the startups time, money, and effort. And some franchises also go for pooling up of the money. Saving in startup are also reflected in the pooling of the money by individual franchises for advertising and sales promotion. So your money gets saved everywhere. That's the benefit of taking the franchisee. The next we have is the knowledge of the market. you know these uh, the person whose franchisee I'm taking, that person is already into this business from long number of years. So that person knows all the negatives, positive of doing this business. So when I take that person's franchisee, he will share all the positives and negatives of doing this business. So any established franchisee business offers the entrepreneur years of experience of doing the business. Then we have operational and structural control. These are two words. One are the operational control and other are the structural control. Every entrepreneur faces two problems while starting a new venture. One is the operational control and other is the structural control. Operational control is related with maintaining the standards. That whether I'll be able to maintain the same standard as the franchisor is able to maintain. For that, franchisor provides you the operational manual. So that the same level should be maintained. Got it? So these are the advantages of this. Other than that, there is structural manual. Structural manual means that standardization. That standardization, that when franchisor buys a raw material and all other things, he buys in bulk and makes it available to you also, so that the same standard should be maintained. Okay, and then the concern of administrative control is also taken care by the franchisor. And these are the advantages. Then advantages of franchising to franchisor. See, the first advantage is quick expansion. I don't have to do anything. Rather, people are investing money in my business and putting all the efforts to expand my business. So it leads to quick expansion. So this is one of the most obvious advantage of franchising for an entrepreneur, as it allows him to expand the business quickly using very little of the capital, rather using other people's capital. Other people will work to expand my business. Got it? And here the capital necessary for this expansion is much less than it if franchisor will decide to establish his own stores somewhere. The value of franchisee depends on the track record of the franchisor also. So before taking the franchisor always check what kind of track record franchisor is carrying. Then the next advantage is cost advantage. What is cost advantage? The mere size of franchised a company offers many advantages to the franchisee. The franchisor can purchase because I can purchase quantity in large because I am going to supply that quantity to the franchisees also. That way, I'll get the discount benefit, economies of scale will be there, and many franchisee business produce parts, accessories, packaging, and raw materials in large quantities, then in turn sell them to the franchisee. Okay, and then we can say that franchisees are usually required to purchase those items as part of the franchisee agreement, and they usually benefit from the lower prices. Okay, so these are the advantages of franchisee to franchisor. What are the advantages? Only two advantages are there. One is quick expansion, and other is the cost advantage. Quick expansion without doing anything, other people will invest the money and expand my business. Cost advantage, large economies of scale. But there are certain disadvantages also to the franchisor for giving the franchisee. Those disadvantages are, first is franchisee means franchisor means the person who is giving the right will tell, okay, this is the way I'm doing the business, and you have to do the business in the same way as I have been doing from large number of years. So franchisor, the person who is taking the franchisee cannot use any kind of his initiative or innovation in doing this business. Then continuous cost implication. These franchisors continuously keep on putting cost implication in them in the form of advertisement, on the form of buying the raw material. So continuous pressure is there. Then next we have is third disadvantage is your risk of franchisee getting bored. What if some person buys the franchisee, then new franchise will come, then new rules and regulations we have to follow. Inability to provide service. If I will not be able to provide the same service as the franchisor is providing, no benefit of taking the franchisee. Okay, so there is one disadvantage to the franchisor also, and that disadvantage is difficulty in identifying the good franchisee. Let's say if by mistake I give my franchisee to the person who is not capable of it, who and if that person provides wrong services to the customer, then it will not only spoil his name, it will spoil my name in the market. So this is the disadvantage of franchise.
So, after these disadvantages, let's come to the topic of merger. What is merger? A merger is a combination of two companies come together and make a one big company. That is a merger. Now, this action mainly involves the stock swap or the cash payment. Like when two companies come together, either they swap the stocks or they do payment in cash to each other. That is your merger. In case of merger, the acquiring company takes over the assets and liabilities of the target company also. Merger can be is of two forms. These are not types, the form. Merger is of two forms. One is amalgamation, other is absorption. Amalgamation. When two entities come together and make a new entity, two companies merge together and make a new company. That's a amalgamation. And in case of absorption, one company absorbs the other company into it. For example, A absorbs B and a new entity is called A. That is absorption. So these, keep it in mind, these two are forms of merger, not the types of merger. After that, let's understand the difference between consolidation and merger. See, when two firms of the similar size come together and merge together, then that is called as consolidation. But when a bigger company and a smaller company merge together, that is called as merger. So consolidation and merger differ on the basis of the size of the firms which are merging together. Similar size firm merge together, consolidation. Larger firm, smaller firm merges in larger firm, that is merger. After that, next we have the types of merger. There are five type of merger: conglomerate, horizontal merger, market extension merger, product extension merger, and vertical merger. Listen all the explanation very carefully because I'll speak the keywords which will help you in identification of these type of merger in your board exam. Because in board exam they always give you the case study, and case study involves keywords in it. So let's understand the type of mergers. The very first type of merger is conglomerate merger. As its name is suggesting you conglomerate, in this type of merger, two companies come together, two different businesses come together, and there is nothing common in two businesses. For example, let's say a cement making company merges with a cloth making company. Now, nothing is common between them. Such type of merger is called conglomerate merger. Conglomerate merger is a further of two types: pure conglomerate and mixed conglomerate. In pure conglomerate, nothing is common in both the firms, but in mixed conglomerate, something can be related, or maybe the related product can be the reason. Example of conglomerate merger is Disney and ABC. Disney is a filmmaking company and ABC is a domestic television company. So when this type of merger takes place, that is your conglomerate merger, because both the firms are not completely related to each other. So as I told you, conglomerate merger, two firms come together and they are not related to, their products are not related to each other. That is your conglomerate merger. Then next type of merger we have is horizontal. Just think of a horizontal line. Means two businesses who are selling same type of product come together and merge together. That is called as horizontal merger. Like two different sellers were selling different products in the same two different sellers were selling same product in same market. So now they decided to come together and merge together. That is horizontal merger. This is generally done to eliminate the competition. Pepsi and Coca-Cola merge together. Then we had example of this is Frito-Lays and Uncle Chips. Frito-Lays and Uncle Chips merged together. Then horizontal merger. Vodafone Idea, both were the competitors of each other. Now they merged together. That is your horizontal merger. So in horizontal merger, two competitors merge together. Two competitors merge together and form a two competitors merge together and form a merger entity. That is called as horizontal merger. Next type of merger is market extension merger, as its name is suggesting you. In this, one entity, one business is doing business in one market and other is doing in other part of the country. Now if they will merge together, then they both can do business in each other's markets. That is called market extension merger, in which, and the point is, both are dealing in same type of product, but one is dealing in one market, other is dealing in other market. By doing this merger, they both can sell product in each other's market. Here we have example of Kotak and ING. Kotak Mahindra was based in Mumbai and ING was very famous in southern India. So they merged together. This way, Kotak Mahindra ended in Mumbai and ING, Kotak Mahindra ended in south parts also. Then RBC and Eagle Berkshire. This is the another example in which RBC was doing work in, it has its headquarters in Atlanta, and Eagle Berkshire had a headquarter in other part. Now, when they merged together, then Eagle Berkshire entered in the Atlanta market, and this. RBC entered in the other market. Next is product extension merger. In this, two firms merged together, and they are dealing in related product, not the same product, but in related product. For example, one business is selling the shoes and other is selling the bags, है ना? So if I want to enter into the bags market while selling the leather shoes, then I do merger with the bag selling business. That's a product extension merger. A very good example of product extension merger is when PepsiCo bought Pizza Hut. What was this way? PepsiCo, we whenever we eat pizza, we all need Pepsi, or we all need soft drink with it. So PepsiCo understood this thing and it merged itself with the PepsiCo merged Pizza Hut in this type of merger is, now Pepsi is a different product, pizza is a different product, but they both are consumed together, so they become related product. Such type of merger is called product extension merger. Okay, after that, next let's understand the difference between market extension and product extension. In case of market extension, as I told you, there is same product, uh, but same product in different market. But in case of product extension merger, we have the different products but related in same market. Okay, so that is the difference between market extension and product extension merger. Please make it clear, because generally students get confused while cracking the case study related to this. Next type of merger is vertical merger. Just think a vertical line in your mind. In this, a person or a company merges some that type of business which either it's providing the raw material to it, or is either providing raw material, or maybe doing this distribution on its behalf. So instead of starting a new business, company decides to merge a company which was providing it raw material. This type of merger is vertical merger. What are the benefits of vertical merger? The benefit is that this way the company who merged the raw material company in it will be able to get the raw material and all the things at the at a limited price. And the logic generally behind it is to increase the synergy created by the merging firms that would be more efficient operating as one. So better is, let's work together. This way the manufacturer will also be able to get the raw material at a lesser price. Here the example of vertical merger is the merger between Disney and Pixar. Pixar is an animated studio, and Disney used to make, or Disney is famous for making animated movies, Toy Story and all that, you remember. So when Disney decided to expand itself, so Disney thought that one way of expansion is, let's, why not to buy Pixar. So Disney acquired, or Disney merged itself with the Pixar. So this way Disney Pixar is one of the biggest merger of, or example of vertical merger. Next we have is the acquisition. As its name is suggesting you, acquisition. Acquisition means acquire. Acquire means buy. Generally people say if a company buy 100% shares of a company, only then that is called as acquisition. No, there is no such definition. If it is basically, it is a corporate action in which a company buys most. Listen, just hear the word most. Company buys most, if not all, of the target company's ownership stake in order to assume control of the target firm. Okay, so acquisition is also a part of acquisition is part of company's growth strategy. I want to grow my business, I want to expand my business, I can buy somebody else business, I can acquire somebody else business. That's your acquisition. Okay, so what is the meaning of acquisition? A corporate action in which a company buys most, if not all, of the target company's ownership stake in order to assume control of the target firm. There are two parties involved in this. One is the acquirer, other is the acquisition target. The person who buys, the company which buys the another company, is the acquirer or is the buyer, and to whom it buys is the target. That's the acquisition target. So the person who buys is the acquirer, and whom it buys, that becomes the target, which is called the acquisition target in case of. So these are the two parties which are involved in acquisition. Let's talk about the types of acquisition. There are four types of acquisitions. One is friendly acquisition, as its name is suggesting you, very friendly. Then there is reverse acquisition, we have backflip acquisition, and lastly we have the hostile acquisition. These all are very much famous in your business world. So there are types of acquisition, four types. Which are these four types? Let's give a revision: friendly, reverse, backflip, and the hostile acquisition. Now let's discuss in detail all these type of acquisitions. The very first type of acquisition is friendly acquisition, as its name is telling you. In this, one firm, one business buys the other business, and there is no forceful action. Like, I give the offer to the other business, okay, I'm interested in buying you, and this is the price I'm ready to pay. Another firm says, okay, I'm ready to sell myself. That is your friendly acquisition. The key word is no forceful action, in which no forceful action is taken and one party buys the other party, is a friendly acquisition. A very good example of friendly acquisition is Facebook and WhatsApp. When Facebook asked WhatsApp that I want to buy you, so WhatsApp happily sold itself to Facebook. So there was no forceful action involved in this type of acquisition. So this is the perfect example of friendly acquisition. So what's the example? When the keyword is no forceful action. No forceful action is taken and one firm acquirer buys the target. Next type of here we have is the as it's showing here that that's the friendly acquisition. Other than friendly acquisition, as I told you, that both the parties come together, and there is they come together on the friendly terms. No forceful action is conducted. That is your friendly acquisition. Clear, class 12? And after friendly acquisition, the next type of acquisition we have is the reverse acquisition. Generally, it is the public company which buys the private company. What is a public company? A company which issues shares in the to the general public is the public company, and a company which does not issue the share to public company but to some private to 200 of its members, that's a private company. Generally, it is the public company who buys the private company, but here a private company buys the loss making public company. Such type of acquisition is called reverse acquisition. Why it's called reverse? Because generally public buys the private, but in this, if public private buys the public company, then it's a reverse acquisition. Fine. So there are many examples for reverse acquisition where you would have seen that a public company buys the private company. There is an example of Godrej also. Godrej Soap, which was a public company, was purchased by the Godrej Capital, which was a private company. So this is your example of reverse acquisition merger. If in your case study you read the word public company buying the private company, then it's normal merger. But if private company buying the public company, then it's your reverse merger. So here Pyramil and BHL example is given to you. Pyramil is purchased by DHL. It's a reverse merger. Backflip acquisition. Backflip. Matlab A buys B and A buys B and takes the name of B. Let's say Reliance buys one XYZ company and then give name it XYZ. That is backflip merger. It's a very rare case of acquisition in which the purchasing company becomes the subsidiary of the purchased company. I buy you, and after buying you, I become your subsidiary. That is your generally it is used when the subsidiary is more famous or has a popular name in the market. So here we have example of backflip merger where AT&T and was taken over by SBC, and ultimately SBC, after purchasing SBC purchased AT&T, and then it became the subsidiary of AT&T. That is your this backflip merger. Next type of merger is hostile, as its name is suggesting you, hostile, with force. In this merger, when one company buys the other company with force, that is called as hostile merger. Here we can see the example of Cadbury and Kraft. When Kraft asked Cadbury that I want to buy you, Cadbury said I don't want to sell myself. Then what Kraft did, Kraft bought all the shares of Cadbury from the market, and after buying those shares it bought Cadbury. So this here, Cadbury never wanted to sell itself, but Kraft bought it from the market. That is your hostile merger. It's hostile merger. There are many examples of hostile merger. There's the example of Imami and Zandu also. Imami never wanted to sell itself, but Zandu bought it forcefully from the market. Then let's understand the difference between merger and acquisition. As we know, merger is generally takes place in two persons, and under acquisition, one entity is completely lost. है ना? But in merger, two entities come together and make a new entity. That is your merger. In acquisition, one entity buys the other entity, and the other entity is completely lost. That's the difference between merger and acquisition. After that, let's understand, there is a very important question, that what are the reasons that why people go for merger and acquisition, why companies go for mergers and acquisition. In these reasons, the very first reason is the synergy. What is synergy? Synergy means working together. Here synergy means working together. And then we have acquiring a new technology. This is a benefit. Then by you can increase your profitability, you can acquire a competency, then you can enter new market, access to funds. Okay. And the tax benefit, these are the reasons that why people go for mergers and acquisitions. And let's discuss all these reasons in detail. The very first reason is synergy. Synergy means that okay, I am if I work alone, I earn profit of 2000 crore, and let's say you are my competitor, you are also earning profit of 2000 crore. Now we both decided to come together, and if we both will come together, then we don't need to advertise against each other. Our resources will be saved. Then we will start earning the profit of 5000 crore. Earlier we were, if we combine the profit of each one of us, that's 4000 crore. But now we can earn profit of we can earn profit of 5,000 crore, which means now we can earn 1,000 crore extra. This 1,000 crore is called synergy. So synergy refers to the difference between value of the combined firm and value of sum of participants. So that is called as synergy. Value of AB minus value of A plus value of B. The difference between this is called as synergy. After the synergy, there are various examples of synergy. Also, synergy is of two types. One is financial synergy, other is operational synergy. Under operational synergy, this is basically the cost saving. It refers to the cost saving that comes through economies of scale or increased sales and profits, which leads to overall growth. Second type of synergy is financial synergy. This is the result of financial factors, because when a profit making company buys a loss making company, it lowers their taxes, it increases their debt capacity also. Then we can say another example of synergy is when Tata Tea bought Tetley. This way Tata Tea and Tetley came together. So earlier they both were doing different kind of tea production, but now there is one factory, few machines, one packaging. So that reduced actually the cost of it cost, and it increased the profits of Tata company. This acquisition was very much profitable for Tata company. Next is acquiring new technology. The another benefit is that, to remain competitive, companies need to constantly upgrade their technology and business application. So one way of is to do your own invention. Second way is, let's buy a company which already has this new technology. Isn't it better? Yes. So the second benefit is by acquiring that, when the companies generally acquire those companies which can bring some new technology with it. For example, Blackberry acquired cycling. The reason was silence. The reason was that Blackberry, because they both were the technical company, and by this Blackberry entered into the silence market. Okay, so by seeking to block malware or cyber threats, they they tackle cybersecurity rather than reacting after a breach. This is how BlackBerry saved itself, by hiring this digital tech. Then improved profitability. You know, as we read the point of synergy. So when two companies working doing the same business in different individually, instead of doing individually, when they work together, it increases their profit. So companies explore the possibility of merger when they anticipate that it will improve their profitability. The result of There are many examples through which we can see how companies merge together and it helped them in increasing their profitability. Then we have the benefit. Next is acquiring a competency. Your other reason that why companies opt for merger and acquisition is that they, instead of spending their own money on developing a competency, they prefer to acquire a company which already has that competency. This way they do not have to spend their money in acquiring this type of competency. For example, ICICI, ITC Alliance, then IBM merged with Daksh. Why IBM merged with Daksh? The reason was for acquiring competency from the Daksh. Okay, this way IBM could easily enter into the Daksh, and IBM got all the benefits of digital technology and call centers by acquiring the Daksh. So this is also the IBM could enter the call center market because of this Daksh acquisition. Then Google acquired Android. There was a time when Google wanted to enter into the cell phone market. At that time, what Google did, Google developed the Android system and it acquired the Motorola phones at that time because it needed a hardware system for that. So this is also the way that instead of making its own cell phones, Google decided to instead of making its own cell phones, Google decided to buy a company. Entry into new market. Mergers are often looked upon as a very easy and hassle-free entry into new market. Under normal conditions, a company can enter a new market but may have to still face much competition from the existing companies. What if I merge with that existing company only? Then whosoever was my competitor is my companion. So merger makes entry into new market very easy for the companies. Then we can see here, from Max Touch to VI. This is how the company used its this merger to enter into the VI market. Okay, so merger, even this your market extension merger. Market extension merger is easy way of entering into your competitors market and then selling your product in competitors market. Next type of merger, next benefit is access to funds. See, often a company finds it difficult to access funds from capital market, which means stock market. It's very difficult. It's not easy to raise money by issuing shares. So they generally cover this weakness by merging with a company or by acquiring a company, which can actually help in the growth. So this weakness deprives the company of funds to pursue its growth objective. In such cases, companies go for companies may decide to merge with other company that is generally fund rich. For example, TDPL and Sun Pharma. TDPL merged with Sun Pharma since TDPL did not have the funds to launch new product, and it got the financial help from Sun Pharma. So this acquisition was really this merger was really helpful for TDPL, because it was not able to arrange funds from the bank, so it merged with Sun Pharma and got the fund to innovate new product and to launch its ideas. Okay, so Sun Pharma's acquisition journey is shown in the picture here, that how TDPL acquired, merged with the Sun Pharma, and you know how it got the idea, because CDPL was refused by many banks for giving the funds. So it decided, let me get myself merged with some rich company. So TDPL merged with Sun Pharma and got good amount of funds for the business. Done. The next type of next last benefit is your tax benefit. Mergers are also adopted, by the companies to reduce tax liability, because when a profit making company merges with a loss making company, then the losses of that loss making company can help in reducing the taxable profit of the profit making company. As the taxable profits are reduced, this helps the company in paying less amount of taxes. For example, Ashok Leyland Information Technologies was acquired by Hindustan Finance. You know what was the reason? The reason was that, so that Hindustan Finance could manage its could balance its profit with the losses of Ashok Leyland, and it whatever losses and its taxable income actually reduced. So this is also called tax benefit or tax shield. This is the same point as we read in the financial synergy. So these are the reasons why companies go for mergers and acquisition. I hope this one short video must be clear to you. The purpose of this video is this only, that whole chapter should be explained to you in one short. Subscribe the channel if you have not subscribed till